Hello everyone. So, let's use some of the tools we have learned about and try to come up with something nice and useful we can work with. So, I'm a math teacher. I love doing math. One of the great things about being a math teacher is you use the quadratic formula, and it's just so cool. But let's say I didn't want to use it. I want to cheat it in my algebra class. I do not want to have to do all that math in a quadratic formula. But I know a lot of programming skills. Somehow that ended up working out. I don't know algebra, but I know how to code. So, what can I do about this situation? How can I make my life easier? Well, let's use all the tools we've learned about and come up with something nice. So, the only thing different we need to use for this is we need to import math, because Python knows a lot of math, but it doesn't know enough math on its own. We need to import a knowledge of math over. Now, in a quadratic formula, we use three values: your A value, your B value, and your C value. So I'm just going to say A is 1, B is 4, and C is 4 as well. It's easy enough to find a solution for that on your own, so you can verify if you're right or wrong. It's +2 and -2. Now, that's my A, B, and C. Now I want to create my quadratic formula variable. I could have really called this X, because that's what you solve for when you use quadratic formula, your X, your roots, but whatever. Alright, so how does quadratic formula go? It goes like this. Negative B plus or minus. Ran into a little problem. So what I could do is say I'm going to make two formulas: quadratic formula plus, and then eventually I'll make quadratic formula minus. So plus the square root. Now in order to do the square root, you can do math dot square root. This is an example of a function, specifically a math function. And anything inside those parentheses will square root that value. So, what are we square rooting? Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. All over 2a. Now, I can't just divide by 2a, right? Order of operations, I'm going to put everything in parentheses on the top, so it'll know to do the numerator first, and then divided by 2 times a on the bottom. Wonderful. Now, I can just take this quadratic formula plus, copy most of it over, but make a negative version, or plus minus, and make this a subtraction. So now I have my two quadratic formulas. So let's print quadratic formula plus, and then let's print quadratic formula minus. My two answers should be -2 and +2. That's interesting. -2 and -2. Oh wait, no, what am I saying? Yeah, it's -2 both. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Alright, so let's try a different value then. How about what's going to plus and minus values? Whatever. Let's just do let's make B like 10 and C like 20. No, I'm just doing perfect squared. 12. Whatever. Let's run it. Now we get our two different values. So it's, and you know, you could do the math yourself and check it. Now, a good programmer might look at this and be like, oh, this is kind of ugly. Is there any way I can simplify it? Well, yes, there is. In the quadratic formula, we notice that it has the same b squared minus 4ac in both of them. Now, there is a name for that I forget what it's called, which is kind of embarrassing being a math teacher, but whatever. I'm just going to call it stuff in the square root. I should make it simpler. Can't believe I don't remember what it's called. Anyway, let's go call it stuff. That's pretty bad coding, but whatever. And it's going to be my b squared minus 4 times a times c. And then what I can do is just clean up the formulas a little bit more by just saying stuff instead of all that gibberish. And now I have my... Oh, I do need to add a set of parentheses to make sure that my PEMDAS is still nice. And you know what? I could just make this even simpler, and make all this math.square root. And then I can just get rid of this part entirely. So plus stuff and minus stuff. That way my quadratic formulas have been just shrunken down to something that's relatively simple to read. And if I run it, I'll still get the same answers. But by taking these large variables and just shrinking them down into like these sub-variables, it makes it look a little bit neater, even if the names are relatively long. And in other videos, we'll continue with this quadratic formula and make it able to give us more accurate results, where we can include situations with no solutions, one solution. I mean, it already has for one solution, but we can put conditional statements in there to make the program a little bit more interesting.